all the way back in 2008, a game came out, guys, called Dark Sector. And this was a game that I played very shortly after its release. And I gotta say, it had some very unique capabilities and some really interesting concepts within this game, and I've always wondered what happened to Dark Sector. This was a game that I thought was absolutely, one of a kind, and I really wanted to see a continuation of it at some point or another. And I think that we can really kind of break this down as to what happened to the game, to the series, and really where this game could have gone, or could they ever got brought out a sequel, and what we can expect moving forward. So let's talk about it, guys. So as I said, Dark Sector comes out in 2008 on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Now, this was developed by Digital Extremes, and then it was published, of course, by D3 Publisher, Microsoft, Windows, and Aspyr. And with that, this game coming out in 2008, guys, I think we can really break this down to a couple of things. What's interesting about this title was that there was a ban in Australia for this title, which was really interesting. I didn't know about it until actually quite recently. In February, before the release in March 2008, the game was banned by the Office of Film and Literature Classification for sale in Australia based upon a Wikipedia article. Adam Zwick, the sales and product manager for AFA Interactive, the local distributors of Dark Sector, told GameSpot AU that the game was banned due to its violence, in particular the finishing moves. Obviously, we're disappointed in it. We feel there is justification for an appeal. However, we're exploring several avenues at the moment to see what we can do to get the game on Australian shelves. It was later re-released in Australia for the PlayStation 3 on October 9, 2008, but the violence was censored. On July 22nd, 2009, Dark Sector was released on the cover disc of PC Powerplay, an Australian PC gaming magazine. Although this was the heavily censored version of the game, Games Radar included it in their list of the 100 most overlooked games of its generation. And I 100% agree with this. This game was so overlooked, it's unbelievable. We look at the scores, guys, as far as the reception is concerned, got mixed to positive reviews. So we're looking at, from Game Rankings, got like 73.24 on Xbox 360, Metacritic 72 out of 100 for Xbox, PS3 72 out of 100, and PC 66 out of 100. So IGN giving it a 7.7 out of 10, Game Informer 7.5. So you're looking at something where it's, mixed to positive reviews. So when you look at that, you kind of tell yourself, okay, it's getting pretty decent reviews, so why wasn't there a sequel? Well, the possible sequel, when they were asked about the sequel in 2008, Steven Sinclair of Digital Extremes stated that there was nothing definitive planned, but commented that he would love to do one, and that Dark Sector only scratched the surface of the character and weapons potential. Digital Extremes eventually developed a free-to-play game titled Warframe, which borrows heavily from the original Dark Sector concept, video, and game. The original concept for Dark Sector was similar to what Warframe is now, but was put in a modern setting with a linear single-player mode due to the industry landscape at the time. As such, Warframe is considered a spiritual successor and has a handful of nods of Dark Sector, or to Dark Sector. So I think we can really break it down to this, guys. Digital Extremes ends up making a free-to-play game, of course, titled Warframe. And Warframe, guys, a lot of you probably know it. Some of you have probably played it. For me personally, I've played Warframe, and I've, of course, played Dark Sector. I like Dark Sector more. I would have really liked to see a continuation of it. Now, Warframe, I love that it's a free-to-play game. It's a spiritual successor to Dark Sector. But this is one of those, games that's a spiritual successor that I don't think is as good as the original, that being Dark Sector. And that's just my personal opinion. However, the fact of the matter is that Digital Extremes, not only working on a game that's a spiritual successor to Dark Sector, I think that there's a possibility that Digital Extremes may very well make this title at some point or another in the foreseeable future. What it really comes down to, I believe, is the community, guys. It comes down to us voicing our opinion, saying that we want a sequel made in the Dark Sector universe. Because a lot of times, with Digital Extremes, just for example, they may think to themselves that there's not a lot of people who still want Dark Sector, so that's why they made Warframe, a free-to-play game. And Dark Sector, it's been years since they made this game, and we're talking 2008, guys. This was a long time ago. So what I'm getting at is this. if we want this game made, we have to voice our opinion and state to the developers that we want Dark Sector 2. And I think that it's very possible that this is a game that could come out at some point or another in the foreseeable future. However, we've got to be the ones really, echoing it into existence, so to speak. And so I'm hoping that this is a game that gets made or gets brought back at some point or another. I think you could make like pretty much like a soft reboot to Dark Sector on the next generation hardware. I would love to see it because for the time, the graphics were actually really good for Dark Sector, and I would love to see a continuation of it. So I think really what it comes down to as to what happened here with Dark Sector comes down to maybe there's some of the controversies or some of the, just the bans that they got regarding this game, which I don't think that they were very just bans for the time. I mean, maybe, but I honestly feel that they shouldn't have been banned, that being Dark Sector, or I didn't think it was as graphic. I mean, some of the finishing moves were relatively graphic, but at the end of the day, guys, I mean, maybe for the time it was pretty, pretty graphic, but nowadays I don't think it would get banned whatsoever. But with that, though, guys, I would love to see a continuation of this franchise. I would love to see a continuation of the story, the lore here of Dark Sector, and I think that's exactly what Dark Sector 2 or Dark Sector as a soft reboot could certainly do. Warframe is fine, guys. It's fine. I mean, I enjoy it. However, I want to see a continuation of where they were going here with the Dark Sector franchise. But with that, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think we'll ever see a Dark Sector 2 or a Dark Sector reboot at some point or another, like with the next generation hardware? Do you guys think that, a Dark Sector 2 would do really well? Do you guys think it would actually grow in a major way? Would the fan base grow? What do you guys think? Let me know. And for more Dark Sector content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.